Hi, I'm Norma Foster from Foster Conscious Business, where commercial clarity meets conscious leadership and where we bring head and heart together to build businesses that thrive with integrity, impact, and ease. Leadership today isn't just about strategy or results, it's about presence, connection, and the courage to evolve, especially in a world shaped by rapid change, complexity, and emerging realities. That is why I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with John Greaves, who has been working at the leading edge of innovation for more than 40 years. He's an implementer, an inventor, and someone who knows how to take complex challenges and turn them into practical, affordable solutions that actually work. John is perhaps best known as the originator of the Ohio Principle, that's zero human intervention operations, a way of thinking that's changed how organizations approach resilience, security, and efficiency. And over the years, John has advised boards, governments, and international institutions. He's chaired standards and compliance bodies and played a key role in creating the electronic product code, the technology that underpins so much of today's global supply chain infrastructure. John is a sought after speaker, educator, and trusted voice in conversations around blockchain, IT integrity, and organizational transformation. And most recently, John has co authored Mixed Reality Leadership with Dr. Maitland Hislop and Amanda Goodger, a book that really asks very bold questions about the future of leadership across physical, digital, and virtual worlds. So, John, I'm delighted to have you with me here today.
Very
So,
pleased to be here, Norma. Thank you for the time.
yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure, John. Thank you so much for giving up your precious time. So, John, you've been called Dr. Blockchain. What's the story behind the nickname, and how does it tie in with the work that you're doing today?
The nickname, Norma, was given to me by a senior figure in the federal government. And it was the result that at the end of a very long conference day, at which we were educating government departments and their employee groups, a very, very large group of hundreds of people in a meeting, I was the last speaker. And at the end of my speech, despite the fact that there was an open bar available, people were still in their seats, apparently transfixed by my dialogue and my explanations. And the lady from GSA said, "Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to reluctantly call this to an end now, but I thank you, Dr. Blockchain, for one of the best descriptions and understandings of blockchain that I have heard so far." And so I thought, I'll take that. The federal government give you a title? My goodness. So I became, and I am still, Dr. Blockchain. How does it tie into my work today? I, of course, lead the Enterprise Blockchain Initiative at Florida Tech, and I also work in blockchain. I'm an innovator in blockchain, in enterprise blockchain, and I hope we'll get an opportunity to cover that structure, as it were, as we go forward.
I'm sure we will, John. So, for someone who's not technical, and that may also apply to some of our audience today, why is blockchain suddenly such a big deal for leaders and organizations?
Blockchain today, first of all, let's be clear, blockchain is not old. Blockchain is still in the leading edge of innovation. Much of its practical side is still being developed. However, there is a sufficient amount of maturity of the technology to be very impactful on any enterprise. The difference between blockchain and Turing information technology, with all respect to Alan Turing, who created modern information technology in 1940s, it is stretched to the limit. As you know, cyber risks, risk itself, security, data integrity, the personal information of millions, and the personal or the corporate information of millions of corporations leak regularly. And one of the reasons is because information technology, as was or as is still, sadly, in too many instances, recently demonstrated by such classics as Jaguar Land Rover and
Mm,
Marks and Spencer's,
mm,
cyber risk issues costing billions, is in silos. So yes, you bring in the consultants and you make little stitchy lines that make that apparently go to there, but there's a gap. It's a silo. And the
mm,
result of a silo with a gap is you will allow light or evil, or however you wish to call it, into that chasm that disrupts your performance, can destroy your company,
mm,
and will most certainly cost you thousands and thousands of hours and monies to rectify. So blockchain is a secure, singular process. What you start with and what you finish with is the beginning and the end. Let me explain it if I may, very quickly, or as quickly as I can. Uh, I have to say that normally this would constitute around a 2-hour presentation with felt tips, so we're going to do it very quickly verbally. Uh, in olden days, in a pre-blockchain enterprise, you will find a number of departments who are responsible for procuring a product. Generally speaking, that product comes from a manufacturer, is turned into a finished product that is consumer ready and is delivered to the retailer, who is the instigator of the process. That retailer has cost parameters. How much should it cost to get it? How much should it cost when they sell it? And who are the parties involved? All of these are described, even down to, oh my goodness, they're going to use a particular dye for the t-shirt. Let's call it a t-shirt. And it's a DuPont Yellow 62. Oh, okay. So everything is spelled out. The purchase orders are issued, remember, from the purchase order department.
mm,
And the purchase order is instigated from the accounting department. The transportation is triggered, a combination of the retailer and the manufacturer's shipping departments. That's interesting. They're only about 16 hours apart, of course, in timelines, and real time is fundamental to supply chains. We've started the advertising program as well, local television and radio, and we've put flyers out in the local paper. Tens of thousands of monies have been expended already, and it goes wrong. What
mm.
goes wrong is the color isn't exactly right. It was locally sourced instead of specified to the international standard DuPont Yellow 63. This is only discovered when all the stuff arrives in Long Beach, California.
Mhm.
Uh, and the store manager happens to open the box and call headquarters and go, I don't want to bother you, but this isn't the yellow that is in the flyer. Oh, uh, we now dismantle that. Thousands and thousands of events and incidents, costs, insurance companies become involved, people are sued, mayhem all over some t-shirts. This happens every day all over the world in so many products and places. I have had the opportunity to work globally. I've been greatly blessed. The one consistency I found globally is nobody's exempt. This is a global problem. This occurs no matter who you're called and where you are. You go to sourcing, and sourcing is a nightmare. So blockchain basically takes that continuum and says at any point that someone does not enter a correct, for instance, a blockchain will have a DuPont Yellow 63 indicator in it. So if the supplier then in entering that, yes, we've got that, and here's the batch number, and the batch number, the whole blockchain stops.
Mm.
Everything stops. The advertising, the truck orders, the containers, the everything. Why? To stop spending money that is pointless. It's not going to work. And that simultaneous broadcast to all the impacted departments, all the silos, is incredibly effective. Everybody then quickly gets together and says, oh, Jim, what are we going to do about this? Actually, blockchain has already done something about it it's gone off and found DuPont Yellow 63 for that person, for that component, and given them a hint as to where they can, or at least not a hint, more a description, a dictate. You can get the right stuff here. Cease production pending delivery of this material upon your authority. This is incredible. This is zero human intervention operations. And in all the years I have gone around the world trying to help people, if in some cases it actually worked, to bring about a, shall we call it a perfect environment? And that's very ludicrous, actually. There's no perfect, but better than that they had and more than they wished for.
Mm.
It is largely centered around the Ohio principle.
Yeah, yeah. John, that was such a great explanation. I understood that thoroughly, and hopefully all of the people listening did as well. And I think it's really great to have stories about how this impacts so that people can really appreciate the impact of these things. So, a little bird has told me that you're going to be speaking at the UN on blockchain and supply chains. So, can you give us a practical example of how blockchain can make supply chains more resilient or trustworthy?
I can actually, and in fact, a number of the key players in the initiative that is building a global supply chain indicator will be at the GBBC sponsored section of the United Nations General Assembly Science Summit. And sorry, GBBC, Global Business Blockchain Council.
Yeah.
They're the thought leaders in how to bring blockchain into business. And with the number of people gathered there, for instance, Dale Christie from FedEx,
Mhm.
Michael Darden from DFM. These are the movers and shakers. And I happen to be the component that brings to them the blockchain definitions that fall within what they've been trying to do, which is just a few years ago. It is surprising, isn't it? We discovered that not every person or every entity within a supply chain uses the same terminology. Oh, yes, we're accustomed. You have my fellow Americans with their strange understanding of using pounds instead of kilos,
Mhm.
and even their gallon is different. But my point is, we didn't find one or two. We found thousands of inconsistencies that led to delays, misunderstandings, even misapplication of tariffs and duties. We involved and have involved the World Customs Organization. Uh, this is significant people. At government levels, we have, excuse me, we have as diverse a community as the Federal Maritime Commission looking at containers. So all of this we're melding together. And of course, it impacts, would you believe, the United Nations.
Mhm.
The United Nations is one of the largest users of freight in the world. Disaster mitigation, human relief,
Yeah.
environmental restoration. Uh, the, the, so they themselves have a inherent dysfunctionality because even within their own organizations, even within their own structures, incidentally, structures that have not been overhauled for decades. And I'm very pleased to say that finally they are starting to realize that they don't live in a cocoon. Even the mighty United Nations lives in a global supply chain. So our global supply chain is predicated on a blockchain model that says if you call it Jim, day one, it's still Jim at the end of the day, unless you stopped Jim moving at all,
Mm.
because it's not what you said it was. So that kind of translucent, that transparency, Norma, that kind of message that the whole supply chain world, whether it's Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroads or England, Wales and Scotland or the Maersk shipping line, I'm very pleased to say that we are very, very close to the outcome being a unified, uniform TUID, transport unit identifier, that carries all of the characteristics. And it can only do that, incidentally, because of that blockchain end-to-end parameter that says if you had a TUID here, you're still with that TUID there. And each person within that chain, incidentally, is very important. People get nervous. Oh, I don't want those people seeing what's this value of this and that. No, blockchain grants permission.
Mm,
Those parties who are authorized to have sight of X piece of data for Y amount of time due to circumstance A or B.
mm,
That's it.
mm. So good. And I can't tell you how many times I hear from clients who are exporting internationally who have so many issues with exactly what you have described. And 95% of the time, it's down to them having miscommunicated, either, on documentation or whatever, the correct format, the correct description or whatever. So it makes complete sense. John, thank you for highlighting that. So you have co-authored a book with Maitland Hislop and Amanda Goodshire on mixed reality leadership. So I'd love to hear from you how blockchain fits into the bigger frame of mixed reality leadership and why does it matter for leaders right now?
I think, again, Norma, based on exposure that I've had, like yourself, across thousands of companies, thousands of institutions, governments, agencies, the consistent challenge always is that the leadership, and when we refer to mixed reality leadership, we start at the top, but we don't consider the bottom is not a leader. All parties are leaders in mixed reality leadership. There's item number one of what's wrong today. We have turned our workforces into automatons, which is okay if you had a perfect structure, but you don't. And so straight away, you are building in flaws. You are building in a lack of trust, a lack of confidence. I once remember that I went into a particular company who were reluctant to see me, frankly, but fortunately, a leadership figure said, I don't care. This guy is coming in, and we're going to take a look at this particular issue. And I took a look and I made a recommendation, and it was brutal because on the late afternoon, basically everybody was taken into a common area, and there was a meeting of minds, shall we call it. People who had never been allowed to speak were allowed to speak, and the thoughts and the issues that came to light were amazing. So Dr. Hislop and Amanda and myself have worked together closely over some years now, each of us scratching our head and going, why? What is going wrong here? We do tend, we shouldn't, but we will tend to highlight the idiosyncrasies of how you can possibly have um, uh, things go wrong. And the answer is quite simply because leadership does not know wrong. They know their silo. You see, we're back at the silo word.
Mhm.
And silos are the downfall. A board should be not a collection of silos, not a collection of people going, oh, yes, but actually, I do it with a yellow pen. That's very good. But where does that fit into this company's mantra? What is the significance of the yellow pen? Should we adopt the yellow pen? Good Lord, no. We've got someone at the other end of the table screaming red pen. Um, and that's why we term mixed reality leadership, red pen, yellow pen, right? Blue brush, orange brush. But those people, they not only have to paint the picture, they have to sell the picture to all the people who make the picture. They don't make the picture, they paint it. And our leadership model helps them to paint better and more importantly, to describe to people what lies be. It's rather like going to the Rijksmuseum, isn't it? And you have an official guide and you stand in front of the night watchman. Yeah, nice painting, bunch of geezers sitting around a table, having a cigar, glass of gin, or Jenever in the Dutch. But no. Once you get that guide and she explains to you that these men were such and such men, they were significant figures, they had responsibilities. Oh, suddenly it transforms your understanding not only of that period of time, but the process and the procedure. I myself, Dr. Hislop, Amanda, we are process and procedure people. In blockchain, we have two items that I continually tell people they must start with, which they've largely lost in their legacy enterprise structure, which is, first of all, blockchain runs on a platform, but it runs for a process. In other words, what it runs on and what it runs for. We need most urgently to always consider that. Whenever I start a process, I ask those questions. What platform are you running on? Only unfortunately to all too often be told some wondrous instrument of technology that I thought people had discontinued years ago. The federal government, I will name categorically, they've got stuff that you can't even support anymore. And they write regulations for the people who should buy the stuff that they don't actually use. We won't go there today, Norma, thank you.
So, John, you've spoken eloquently about procedures and processes. Now let's come on to the third P, which is people and the people inside organizations. So if we focus on that, when it comes to those people, what changes the most? What do leaders and teams need to do differently in this new environment? Because that's more of a wild card, is it not?
It is. It is, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
There's the tragedy. People, despite my own Ohio principle, I don't discard people. I discard their intervention level, and I don't ask them to totally disregard. I ask them to be very aware, so that rather than I ask someone to key in the number 7 if you see a yellow box, no, I ask you to to alert management to the fact that there are no yellow boxes.
Mm-hmm.
This is if I ask someone to key in yellow box or number 7 for a yellow box, I will give you a certainty that they will miss 1 in 7 yellow boxes. This is going to mess up my world horribly.
Mm.
In mixed reality leadership, I need the leadership at board level, senior management, shop floor. Look, Bert, you're not keying a 7 anymore. Just give me a bell if you don't see any yellow boxes. Oh, all right, boss. Right. And of course, people come along. I myself came from a background of barcode, radio frequency identification. And people come along and say, yeah, but you can get a sensor to do that. Actually, yes, I can, but I can't get that sensor as astute as the trust I have in Jim. You hear a lot about Jim,
Mm.
right? Because here's something I do know. If Jim didn't come in today, I know that Jim didn't come in today, so I can do something about it. If the sensor goes offline, I may know about it, but did I know about it in my legacy information technology? You did not. The sensor trigger that told production that the sensor was offline stopped at production. They know it's offline. Did they tell shipping, who are trying to build 14 pallets of yellow boxes? Uh-uh. They're just going to sit there with half a trailer for the rest of the day, wondering whatever happened to the yellow box order. And in blockchain and in mixed reality leadership, not blockchain alone, let's be clear, it takes a number of key components to bring together mixed reality leadership at its finest. But we've done it. We're going to keep doing it. We have an increasing number of people who want it done, or at least would like us to take a look and say, uh, could you guys just take a look and figure out how we avoid becoming Jaguar Land Rover, despite the fact that the in-house IT team is owned by the same corporation that owns us? That's the kind of inward looking that you have to start with on mixed reality leadership. How did I manage to do this, even though I did it to myself?
So at that C-suite level, at the board level, with a broad mix of skills and personalities, what needs to shift? What are the blind spots that you can see that they possibly can't see? And how can institutions like GBBC help?
Well, first of all, anyone contemplating uh, entering into blockchain would be well advised, or entering into mixed reality leadership, let's get it right, would be well advised to ask us to take a look, because, you know, rose tinted glasses are everywhere.
Mm.
And I threw mine away several decades ago. I had to, because I kept going into places and saying, oh, yes, that works fine. Well, it did, Norma. It did work fine. They got nearly 82% of their output correct, but the 18% cost them 41% of their net profit. Ah, this was a calculation. This was a review that they were not accustomed to. One of my favorite adages, which I shall throw away today, is it is not the cost of sales that kills you, but the cost per sale. So
Mm.
here I am as the sales director. I build my budget. I've got costs for so many salespersons, internal, external, uh, uh, television advertise. Oh my goodness, we do that at night in our sleep. But what we don't know is, to fulfill that sale that we sold with great delight of 43 million units across 17 countries, did we have a methodology, a means, an oversight, a mixed reality leadership that brought us back to say, I don't know whether you want to know, but the bit of that that's going to XX place is costing us a fortune. It's a runaway with the profit line. Do you know when we discover that? We discover that when we can't deliver a chilled ham sandwich anymore. We discover that when we lay off thousands of suppliers because we can't make cars anymore.
Yeah. So much
Um,
too late in the process.
Correct. So mixed reality leadership starts at the top,
Mhm.
and people think, you know, many people start at the bottom and they look up and they see the shining light. No, we start at the top and we look down and we see no light, and that's our job.
Mm. So we've seen trusted brands disappear almost overnight.
Yes.
It never ceases to amaze me. What can blockchain and mixed reality leadership teach us about spotting those risks before it's too late?
It is astonishing, isn't it? You and I will not bore our audience today with a list of vanished brands, as I call it. They occur even today, even this week. Uh, um, Things that I knew as a child no longer exist. Um, the people knew, my daughter knew, my grandchildren know, and have already vanished. And the reason is because, frankly, the complacency of a unmixed reality
Mm.
leadership environment is such that they all are self-congratulatory. Yes, they bring in let's bring in the consultants. Let's take a look at this. Well, the consultants are from the same club, so they're not going to tell you. Actually, I think we should discontinue the MCC and abandon the membership. Actually, boss, we make cricket bats. Oh, right, yes, let's continue the MCC and retain the membership because we need to sell cricket bats. Maybe cricket bats are over, right? And now I'm being very cruel to cricket, which I love. Um, I was an early follower of County Durham when it finally made it into the proper part of cricket. And I have any cricket legends, but you understand my point is that we are in our comfort zone. What is the one thing people hate? Change. Mixed reality leadership is change. Blockchain within that stable of deliverables is change. But that change involves as well trusting people, giving people a degree of what would I call it? Responsibility, funnily enough. It's a word that we've, again, I've seen too many times vanishes. You know, it's not your responsibility. Really? Even if I see that place is burning down, not your job, mate. The legendary Esther Ranson's Jobsworth Award comes to mind, right? We are plagued with such people, and they are in the boardroom, regrettably. We find it time and again. Well, I'm not talking to you as if I'm from a pulpit. Please don't get that idea. I'm talking because I've been in those places and I have listened to these people and I have cringed and I have asked kindly, sometimes remonstrated, would you please stop looking at it like that? Because here's some numbers for you. And you know, Mixed Reality Leadership Center, we're very big on, we don't just go in and be bombastic and retribution and oh my God, look at this. No, 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 no. That's counterproductive. We're there. We're kind of Dr. Feelgood. Let's give you that feeling back that you used to have, rather than board meetings that become full of trepidation and issues and etc. And yet, you know, you did not hear about the issue that was fundamental to your brand vanishing that occurred in your Milton Keynes store just last week. You didn't hear that the POS didn't work for a whole day. It never got to leadership. So leadership think they've got it under control. And then when 1,000 stores next week go down on the POS, well, you know, let's have a board meeting. Too late. Have a nice day.
Yeah. So true, John. So true. So you're speaking next week at the United Nations General Assembly Science Summit, representing the mixed reality leadership. And there'll be lots of thought leaders there, I'm assuming, who are intending to shape policy, practice, and progress on all of these global challenges. And you're talking specifically about AI and education, is my understanding. So, in that context, what's the one key message that you would like to put on that global stage?
First of all, AI is the most powerful thing that we have brought to pass as human beings ever, and that worries me. AI is not in education of a discipline. AI educating people in supply chain, in healthcare. I am myself a GBBC global ambassador in healthcare. It means that I carry the concepts of blockchain in healthcare to communities because I have a profile, a background in that particular sector, where I have a casebook that says if you'll do this with blockchain in this healthcare environment, it'll be better, right? Um, I'm trying to build right now amongst colleagues an AI guidance document, and that's why I was invited to this particular one. AI is not to rewrite your resume. Would you believe, Norma, I tried it and I
Mm.
didn't recognize the person. So, um, however, is AI something so incredible that given a supply chain, given let's say personnel movement, tell I need a terrestrial people moving system that is energy efficient, green friendly, environmentally negative or positive, whichever way you look at it, and manages to transit people at a speed of XX. Don't don't give it the words train, locomotive, airplane. Just give it the mission and press the go button. That's my AI.
Mm.
And that's mixed reality leadership's perspective, not just on AI, but on all technologies, right? Give them a job. Don't give them a function.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great response, John. Thank you. So, if you could leave our listeners today with one lesson about leading in today's mixed reality world, what would it be?
Um, be out and about. Um, and some years ago in my earlier career, um, I worked for a company in Manchester, England, and I put on jeans. I was at management, I was leadership. I put on jeans and a t-shirt, and I went down the local pub closest to the massive depot that they operated, and I spoke with the guys. I sank into my native Geordie, and uh, just chatted with the lads, about how it was and what they thought of the company, etc. One of the best insights I ever had. A practice that I have continued. I have to admit, I've not done it recently. I really should get back to basics, but certainly go out and about, mingle.
Yeah,
Jack on the forklift is it knows more than you do about what's going on. And if Jack knows it, that means there's 1,000 Jacks across your corporation. You're in trouble. If I had one thing to say in total summary, the mantra of business over the decades has been look forward, have a vision. Yes, thank you very much. I would add in mixed reality leadership, look over your shoulder. If it looks familiar, get worried.
yeah. And you and I can practice your Geordie any time of day that you want, John. It would be an absolute pleasure. But some great tips there. And is there another practical action that your audience can take today, right now, after this podcast is finished, just to take that first step towards applying this thinking in their organization?
Norma, my problem is there's many steps people should take, right? I'm going to be quite brutal here. I'm going to be very forward, not my style, he said, tongue in cheek. Um, uh, they should reach out to the Mixed Reality Center through our communication channels, perhaps ask us for a little time, perhaps ask us for an overview, for just a small consideration. We do not use the word consultancy. A small consideration as to how you think we stand. Where is our risk? What is our exposure? But it actually inspires me to say, do it yourself, then call us.
Mm,
Just sit every level. What is your current? How good are you at what you do? How's
mm,
it going?
mm,
Right?
mm.
At my local airport has only 8 jetways. 3 of them don't work. Right? The people I speak to as I go to board my plane, or I came off my plane yesterday, will tell you they don't work because unfortunately they're of an age you can't get where you could get the bits, but what's the point? They're not they're not flexible enough for today's play, etc. etc. You know, this stuff is from the Wright brothers. Um, what what leadership will not even take a phone call to ask them what they're going to do about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, John. Such a
I
great
think that
message for our times. It speaks for itself, really, doesn't it? Speaks for
I
itself.
hope so. I hope so. I'm of an age where I prefer to go to find someone who is of a mind to improve and not someone who simply wants me to acclaim their status quo. Status quo is a rock band. It's not an enterprise structure.
Mm, mm. Yeah. So, we've heard today what it really means to lead in a world that no longer fits into neat categories. Mixed reality leadership isn't just a buzzword, it's a way of seeing, deciding, and leading across every layer of your organization, beautifully set out for you today by John Greaves. So, our invitation to you is to rethink what your leadership looks like and what it truly demands of you now. And if something in today's conversation has sparked your interest, here's a few simple ways to take it further. Get in touch with us and ask for a mixed reality leadership health check, a quick high impact diagnostic to uncover blind spots in your organization, both human and technical. Join one of our director briefings, intimate online sessions where together we unpack the practical realities of mixed reality leadership at board level. And you can access a range of support options, whether it's mentoring, consulting, or toolkits that will help you to build trust, resilience, and clarity into your leadership approach and for sure stimulate your curiosity to learn more about mixed reality leadership and what it's all about. So, the aim is simple to help you and your team navigate complexity with more confidence, connection, and calm. You can find all of the links in the show notes below, or just reach out to any one of us directly on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you. John, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed our time together today. Thank you, viewers, for listening. I'm Norma Foster, and this is Mixed Reality Leadership.